My name's Nicole Abitan, and I'm from the Hebrew Academy of Long Beach, and I read The Thing About Luck. When writing, where do you get your ideas? What factors inspire you that you know will interest children?
This particular book, I was in Kansas for a ceremony for an event about one of my other books, and somebody just happened to mention that what custom harvesters were, and that there was a family there who were custom harvesters. I was there for, I talked to her about it for maybe 30 seconds or a minute, but just from that, it just really piqued my interest. I traveled a lot when I was a kid, and so you travel a lot when you're a custom harvester, so something about being on the road always thrills me a little bit. So as soon as I heard that's what it was, that custom harvesters existed, I immediately wanted to do it. And I think a lot of it, my interest in different subjects always come somehow from my real life, I guess. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Esther from Hebrew Academy of Long Beach, and I read The Thing About Luck, and I want to know what inspired you to write this book.
Oh, I guess, yeah, it was just that I loved the idea of being on the road, because when my earliest memories from my own childhood, we were being on the road, and my dad wanted to look for a new job. So the road was always very hopeful, a hopeful place, because you were hoping to find a new job and a new life. And so with the custom harvesters, it's a very hopeful way of living, I think.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Ellie Shava, and I am from the Hebrew Academy of Long Beach. My question is about The Thing About Luck. Why did you choose summer as the name of your main character? Is that your favorite season?
This was my editor's thing, because I forgot what I had named her in the first place, but my editor thought it was an old-fashioned name, so then I got Summer. But yeah, when I was a kid, I always wanted to be named Summer. There's also the Japanese name Natsuko, which means summer, and that was another name that I really wanted when I was a kid. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Courtney from St. Mark's Day School. I want to ask a question for the author of Saints. What made Viviana want to become a Christian instead?
Well, I was, one of the things I was really fascinated about in my research about the Boxer Rebellion was how early converts to Christianity, early Chinese converts to Christianity were people who had a hard time finding a place for themselves in mainstream Chinese culture. So they started turning to the stories of the other. They started turning to these Western religious stories that the missionaries would bring in. And the reason I connected so deeply with that isn't just because I grew up in this, I grew up in a Chinese Catholic community, but it wasn't just that. It was also because I'm a geek. Now, I know that's surprising to you because you're looking at me now going, wow, like I kind of looks like Asian Vin Diesel. But, and there's a certain corner of the geek community, there are American fans of Japanese animation. And that's a corner of my people, right? And what I noticed was that, this isn't true for all anime fans, but there's a subsection of those anime fans who are people who have a hard time finding a place for themselves in mainstream American high school culture. So they turn to the stories of the other. They turn to these Japanese stories that they find in Japanese anime. So I wanted that for Viviana. I wanted her to be somebody who was an outsider who had to look to the culture of the other to find herself.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ariella Wing. I read The Thing About Luck. And my question is, I'm from the Hebrew Academy of Long Beach. Okay, my question was, why did you choose wheat colors? Why did you choose wheat colors?
Oh, why did I choose wheat cutters? Just because that was the only thing I knew about custom harvesting. And I also think wheat is something that's used all over the world. So it just seemed so universal to me.
Cool.
Hi, my name is Michelle from Legacy High School. My question is for Jimmy Wan. Why did you make the character Matthew disappear so suddenly?
Why did I make him disappear?
Why did you make the character of Matthew disappear so suddenly?
So suddenly.
Oh, right. Let me think about this. Why did I do that? Part of it was because when I started writing the book, I had an idea of how it might how it might turn out. So I thought, okay, this is going to be a story about a father and daughter who are supposed to go to visit his best friend, but the guy disappears. Now, I didn't know why he disappeared for ages. I wrote draft after draft. I always said it was like painting very thin layers of paint. And I had to kind of hold my nerve because I knew that the character would eventually tell me why he disappeared. But I tried lots of different reasons. I thought, maybe he'd, run over a kid on a bicycle, or he was a child molester, or, all sorts of big dramatic things, in an attempt to sort of think, why did he disappear? And I had, years ago, and actually it's in the book, I'd heard an interview with a detective writer called Donna Leone, and she said she never knew who done it in her detective novels until she got to the very, very end of the book. And I think that's always kind of interesting when you don't actually know why the person has disappeared until you've really kind of written the book and it starts to kind of emerge like, out of deep water. Those, do you still have 8 balls that you shake them? And the answer sort of starts to rise to the surface. And I was really glad when it did because, I wouldn't have had a book if I didn't have an answer.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm from TSMS, and my name is Timothy, and my question is to Kathy. And my question is, why, instead of writing a book about humans, why would you write a book about raccoons instead?
Well, the reason that I wrote the book in the first place is because a friend of mine sent me an email one morning, Cynthia Leidig-Smith, she's a fellow author. She sent me an email one morning and said, I think you should write something funny. And at the time, I didn't feel very funny. But I trusted Cynthia. She's a good friend. And I trusted that she knew something about me. And so I paid attention to that email to write something funny. And so what I did is I just started out by making a list of things that I thought were humorous and things that could be funny. And I thought raccoons and hogs were actually funnier than people. And so that's why I went that route. But the other thing is, animal characters have qualities that a human may or may not have. But for instance, a raccoon is very, very clever and can get into all kinds of odd places that a human probably couldn't. And so I used raccoons. So, thank you. Good question.
Can I ask a little question? I wanted to ask a follow-up question actually to Meg, sort of on the same subject. So you're talking about the way that animals can or can't have human characteristics when you're writing about them. When I was reading your book, Meg, I kept thinking that the character Mila had dog characteristics and that was part of her sensitivity to what was going on in different environments. And I think that maybe you have a lot of sympathy for dogs, and I was curious about whether you sort of see dogs and humans on a continuum, or when you write about dogs, or how is it different from writing about humans, and are there differences?
Yeah, my ex-editor always says she's waiting for the PhD thesis about dogs in my books. There's a fabulous book that I recommend to anybody who's interested in dogs by Temple Grandin called Animals in Translation. And it's about how the autistic mind really connects very seamlessly with animal minds. And she writes a lot about that. I do think I am, probably a little bit more animal than a lot of people. I didn't actually have animals for 30 years of my life. I have 2 dogs now, and I do think I kind of can see the way that they think and the way they see the world. And it always seems like a really good foil for the way humans see the world as well. So, yeah.
My name is House Charles from St. Mark's Day School. My question is to the author of Saints.
My question is, why did you make references to Christianity within the book?
Well, the Boxer Rebellion in the year 1900. One of the things that the Boxers, these young men who believed they could call Chinese gods down from the skies, one of the things they were really angry about was what they saw as, they believed that Western Christianity was actually eradicating traditional Chinese culture, right? So that was a central part of the conflict. But then on the other side, the Chinese Christians, what they believed was that it was possible to take Western and Eastern beliefs in Western and Eastern culture and create a cohesive identity. So that was the central tension between the Chinese who were involved in that conflict. So that's why it ended up being central in the book.
Hi, my name is Layla and I have a question for Mr. McNeil. Did you have a specific age group or target audience in mind for the book, especially in light of the more disturbing themes?
Okay, in light of the more disturbing themes, I'm looking at my editor. I think she's really hoping that we're shooting for the age 10 to 85 age group. Something like that. You know, I don't think in terms of the age group when I'm writing. And it wouldn't be interesting to me to write a book that I wouldn't be interested in reading, or that wouldn't be interesting to my wife to read, or for people who I regard as good, mature readers to read. So I'm not writing down in any way. As I said yesterday at an event, I think what you guys of your age almost always want to do is to read up. And so I basically am writing a book that I hope a younger reader can enjoy for the narrative, for the story. But I also am writing a book that I really very much hope can have meaning and resonance for somebody who comes back to it later. In terms of the disturbing themes, all I can tell you is that it is less dark than it was in the earlier versions because my wife and also my editor thought that it really was maybe a little bit too much. And I listened to that and thought, okay, that, you know, I don't really want anyone to have nightmares after reading this book. So,
thank you.
I'm so sorry that we don't have time for more questions. I know that you all have some. I want to thank our authors very much for coming and speaking.